In this lesson, you'll learn how to take more control over line breaks and spaces. You'll remember from an earlier lesson that spaces are handled very specifically in the XHTML environment. You can have a bunch of spaces, you can have line endings and all kinds of stuff, and as long as they're all in a sequence, they're all folded into one space. Say you want to force a line break at a particular spot in your presentation in the browser, or perhaps you want to have several real spaces in a row between a couple of words or other inline elements in your presentation. How do you force that to happen? Well, that is the subject of this lesson. So open your examples folder and go into the text folder within that and bring up line break within your text editor. There it is. And go ahead and load it up in your browser at the same time. I'm going to use Mozilla for this one. Really no difference. They both work the same in this aspect. Now, go back into the text editor and let's take a look at this first paragraph. Notice there's two paragraphs here. One of them is wrapped normally within the editor space. That's this one here. And the other one is all on one line. It goes way out there. Now, just as we've learned before, this paragraph, even though it has no line breaks in the text editor, in the browser, it does. It breaks just normally, like you would expect. Now, let's say we wanted that all to actually be on one line, that we didn't intend for it to wrap. How would we accomplish that? We accomplish that with an entity called a non-breaking space. And to demonstrate, let's just use one of them. In order to get the paragraph to not wrap, we'll have to replace all of the spaces with non-breaking spaces. Let's try it on just one space and see how that works. See how it wraps between the and paragraph? Let's put a non-breaking space there so that the and paragraph will both end up on that second line. The word the will wrap around to the second line, and the two words will stay together with a space in between them, but they won't wrap. Find the spot in here. It's right there. The paragraph. Take that space, and we'll put in the non-breaking space entity. It goes like this. Ampersand, NBSP, semicolon. Now, entities in XHTML, just like they are in HTML, are specified by having an ampersand and a semicolon with the token in between that specifies which entity it is. In this case, it's the non-breaking space entity, NBSP. Let's go ahead and save this, and then go over into the browser. Now, we expect the to wrap around to the next line because the and paragraph will become, as far as HTML is concerned, one word. View and reload, and there they go. The paragraph, and there's a space in between them, but it's a non-breaking space. So now if we want all of the spaces in this paragraph to be replaced with non-breaking spaces, we can use the search and replace feature in the editor. Now, I'm using an editor, a really good editor. I really like this editor a lot. And it has regular expressions for search and replace. And it's a pretty simple, let me clear this out and then bring that up. And I'll put in a space for the find and the backspace ampersand NBSP. Now, I have to put the backslash in before the ampersand so that it means the literal ampersand in the regular expression parser here. If you have regular expressions turned on in your search and replace, trust me, you probably have to put that backslash there. Replace all. And then close this, and we'll notice that every space in the selected text has been replaced with the NBSP entity. Now, if we go ahead and save this and bring it up in the browser, now that first paragraph doesn't wrap at all. It goes all the way out, just like it did in the text editor, with no wrapping at all. And that's what we meant to do. So that's how you do that. If you want a paragraph to not wrap, simply use the search and replace feature in your editor and replace all the spaces with the non-breaking space entity, ampersand NBSP. Now, let's say that we actually want to force a break in a particular place. Let's look at this other paragraph, and let's say right here, let's say we want it to wrap right there. We want to force it to break right there. Now, obviously we cannot do that with just a new line, because we know that that'll be treated just as any other space is. It won't force the break at all. Now, what we need to do is we need to put in another element that forces a break. This element is called BR, and it's not a container, so we can use the shortcut terminator like this with the slash and the end bracket. What BR does is it forces a break within the context of something that would normally wrap. So BR is an inline element. It flows in line with the rest of the paragraph, and it's allowable content inside the paragraph container. But what it does is it forces a break. Now, if we go back over here to the browser and reload the page, we'll see that we now have a break after this first sentence. It's not a paragraph break. It doesn't put in a blank line. You would need 2 BRs to do that. But it does break the paragraph in a particular place. So, for instance, if you were writing poetry, you could put each sentence, perhaps, or maybe part of a sentence, on a separate line. And you could put in BR tags in each place so that they would wrap just the way that you want them to. Now, I use the handy copy and paste feature on my editor for this, and put in BR elements in each one of these spots. And save, and reload in the browser. And there you have it. We have a block of text with broken lines just in the places where we wanted them. So that's how you can control the breaks in your paragraphs. You can insert breaks where you want to. You can prevent breaks where you don't want them to, using the non-breaking space and the BR element.